So here's the next thing, is that when we talk about getting our students regulated, so many times I see people when I do consults in schools, is that they have this child who's like in the middle of a volcanic eruption, and you all know what that looks like. Ba-boom. And the first thing they say to Billy is, okay, Billy, just calm down. So that's really not effective. How many of you all have ever had someone tell you, just calm down in the middle of your rant? Like, how did that go? That couldn't have gone well. So it's really about learning to understand at what point do we use mindfulness to calm down and settle, but at what point we also need to be able to say, you need to let this out. You are a volcano, because once you have that kind of energy in motion, you can't stop it. You know, if you are jumping out of an airplane with a parachute and you decide halfway down that you really don't want to be doing that, that's a problem. Like, you just have to continue on and filter through that and pull the parachute until you land to be able to get back on grounded territory. So what I want to say with this picture of the slide with the volcano is that, listen, if you have a student in that moment, and I've got a couple video clips that we'll see what that moment looks like. It's sometimes about maximizing to say, hey, you're upset. Let's get you out of this class and get you to a place that you can be able to let it out, let all that steam, and then be able to calm down. So I saw this little picture, and I really liked it. It said, never in the history of calm down has anyone calmed down by being told to calm down. I didn't know there was a history of calm down, but I like it. So let's talk about when we understand where the brain is, what we just discussed, and put it onto more of what I call the strategy timeline. So here's my strategy timeline. Now, the before is when Billy is relatively regulated, and I say that right with gentleness, like relatively regulated. These are the things that we can do beforehand, strategies as far as mindfulness, like when we did the little meditation. Many of our sessions that you will be attending tomorrow and Thursday are all about the before. And when we look at this conference, and we have a lot of people submit proposals, we are definitely looking for people that will give us those strategies about the before, because the more that you can do the proactive work, when Billy's, again, somewhat regulated, somewhat logical, there's so much that can be done to prevent the middle part. Now, what's the middle part? The in the moment. Now, this is the volcano. This is understanding that when this student is in this place of absolute eruption, this is not the time to give them a fidget to calm down. Like, that's just not, because they'll throw the fidget, right? And so this is the time to learn how to do this a little bit differently. Now, if you all don't know the moment, I'll make sure you do the moment. Like, the moment is the moment, all right? The moment. So this is where that student is in a bottom-up control. We have to do our conversations differently, and that's why I talked about the left brain versus the right brain. This is all about right brain. When this student is down in their moment, and again, it may not be the explosive piece, but it might be that student is totally shut down. We have to learn then how to communicate right brain to right brain, which we're going to, again, give a couple examples around. So you will find then sessions then that deal with working to de-escalate students, how to help them not go deeper into the midbrain, how to process through that midbrain in that moment without agitating them further down into that violent place. And then the third part of this timeline is the after. Now, this is really important. When I do consults with school, we look at then how much work is being done after all of this. And what I find, unfortunately, and many of you all probably can relate to this, is that not a lot of work is done here, because once you get Billy calmed down, you got to get back to class and get back to what you're doing, right? And then, so there's this constant, well, we got to get back, you got to get back to learning. And I get that, but I will tell you this, the more that you really work, and this is really, I guess, a message to administrators as well, the more that you can work on that after piece where you go back, and restorative justice is a great piece to be able to understand how to do things differently, how to restore, how also to teach better skills. Like when we talk about this developmental timeline, a lot of times Billy is not understanding how the world works. Billy doesn't understand hierarchy. Again, one of the things that kids learn in families, besides the family meal and all the things that come along with that, what what Andy has in Andy's family is this structure of hierarchy. We have probably two parents, right? We have people in charge. We have adults, uncles and aunts. We have this family system that has these very strong hierarchy. And then the people underneath the adults are the children. And so Andy learns this sense of hierarchy that says, oh, people are in charge. You take that kind of blueprint for Andy and you put Billy in, and you put Andy into the school. Andy gets it, that there's a principal, that there's a vice principal, that there's a teacher. Andy fits into the system of the school pretty well because Andy has a blueprint for it. Well, you put Billy, whose family is complete chaos. A lot of times, who's in charge in Billy's family? Billy. Billy's taking care of mom. Billy's taking care of dad. Billy's taking care of the siblings. I had one teacher say that every day their student, high schooler, was 15 minutes late every single day, no matter what. And he finally stopped and said, Billy, why are you late? And she said, because I have to get my 3 siblings dressed and fed and to the bus and ready on time to get them to school. And he's like, okay, I'll see you 15 minutes late every day, sweetheart. Yeah, she's doing the best she can. So the point being that so many of the families that Billy is coming out of, there's no hierarchy, there's no structure. And so Billy doesn't even fit into this system. Billy balks at this system because it's unfamiliar. So the after part is then helping Billy to learn what hierarchy looks like, that people are in charge, and to show the organization of how the school works, because that then is going to prepare Billy, once Billy moves on down that developmental timeline, to a job where there's a boss.